Welcome to your midweek motivation. It's hard to believe, but fall is upon us. I don't know where you're at right now, but I'm sitting in the beautiful state of Minnesota. And the leaves are changing and the season's coming and it's exciting. Pumpkin is out there and apples are everywhere and football has started. It is fall. Well, it's an exciting time to be alive. There's a lot of things going on, and there's many things happening in our own lives that are unique to who we are, but there's certain phenomenons that are happening all over the United States. One of them being fall, the other one being this odd thing that's happened during COVID, and that's this. People are adopting animals like crazy. They're adopting dogs, they're adopting cats, they're adopting exotic animals, but people have been getting pets through this season. And so there's this ongoing conversation in my house, a debate actually, around this one question: to get a dog or not get a dog. And I stand firmly in the camp of not getting a dog, which has been really difficult because I think I'm the only one in my house that's in that camp. And we have all sorts of friends and family members that are getting dogs. In fact, just yesterday, I saw the husband of a friend of ours, and I was like, if your wife mentions her dog one more time in front of me and my kids, oh! And yes, the dog is cute and it's great, but this is a debate that I have to win. We don't need a dog. And there's all sorts of reasons why. I have a traumatic experience with dogs. I have other things in my life that has caused me to not necessarily be an animal lover. But it's getting harder, especially since my wife's two sisters just got dogs. They live a couple miles from each other, fortunately far away from us. And yet they both got dogs at like the exact same time, and the dogs are adorable. Take a look at this picture. They are cute, and yet I'm gonna stand firm. So here's what I need you to do. I need you to convince me otherwise. Throw in the comments why I should get a dog. Why should we get a dog as a family? Or maybe you're like me, throw in the comments why we shouldn't get a dog. And just be like, no, Brett, stand your ground. No, do not get a dog. But you know what? Animals are loved by many. In fact, animals have done great things throughout history. In fact, we see animals that have gone to the moon, and animals that have helped with mental health, and animals that have been a huge benefit to our country. In fact, we've elevated the love of animals to a very high level in our society. Millions, billions of dollars every year are spent on animals. So much so that at times we care for animals more than we actually care for humans. In fact, I read an interesting article this week that talked about the dehumanization of humanity and how in our culture today, we're fighting this phenomenon where we no longer see each other as humans. We're actually seeing each other as less than animals. That we're fighting each other and we're creating this us versus them mentality to where we no longer see each other for what we are. We see each other for something much less than that, which cannot happen. Because when we dehumanize each other and we see each other as animals, the things that we're willing to do to each other are quite scary. In fact, you see it throughout history, the atrocities that we've brought upon ourselves as humans, that we have done to other humans. Once we dehumanize each other, there isn't anything we aren't willing to do. And you know what? Unfortunately, we've seen that throughout the history of our country, throughout the history of the world, that often we can treat each other as animals. And so this week, the motivation and the challenge is that we need to see each other for what we are. So what are we? Well, we are special creatures made in the image of God that are above animals. In fact, in Genesis, it tells us that God made us in his image to rule over all the living creatures of this earth, that walk on the earth, that swim in the sea, that as humans, we were given a special place. Why were we given a special place? Because we were made in the image of God. Who was made in the image of God? Every human that has ever walked on the face of the earth. And that, in and of itself, makes everybody special. If you are listening to this today as a human being, you are special because you are greater than the animals. And you were made in the image of a loving God who loves you and cares for you. And he's given us a command. And what's that command? That we should love him and then love people. that we should love him, that we should obey his commands. And one of his greatest commands was this, that if you obey all of my commands, you must love others. In order to love others, we have to see each other for what we are, human beings. We're not animals. We can act like it at times. We can argue with each other. We can yell at each other. We can treat each other really, really poorly. And at the end of the day, we're still humans. So if there's something you're dealing with right now where you're struggling with another person, and for some reason you've dehumanized them, and you see them no longer as human, but just as an animal who's following their instincts and just doing whatever it is that they do because they don't even really know, or they can't think, or they can't do it on their own, you need to change your perspective. We can't dehumanize each other. Instead, we need to elevate each other to a position of humanity to where we love each other no matter what. What would the world look like if we did that? Well, we're going into an election season. It's very easy in this time to create an us versus them mentality and dehumanize the them so we see them less than what they actually are. Don't do it. The political world's going to pull you in and suck you in and try to point fingers at everybody else and blame them for everything. Don't allow it to happen. Don't allow yourself to make it political. Rather, make it biblical. And the biblical command that we have is to love one another the way that God loved us. See, he created us as humans. That's a pretty big deal. We're a special creature put on this earth for a special purpose. Let's treat each other that way. Hopefully this week you're challenged, you're motivated. Go out and see the people around you as human beings and then love them and see what God does in the middle of it. Hope you're having a great week. See you next week.